You're probably here because you're finding it a little bit difficult in finding your way about leadership, finding your way on how to manage people well, and finding your way on how to grow your business as an entrepreneur. Any one of these things are the topics that we cover. I'm your host, Sean C, aka Mr. CEO at 22. I am so glad that you took the first step of being here to learn more about leadership, entrepreneurship, and management because the world needs more people like you. We will help you to invest in yourself because that's something that is worth doing. That is something that is worth learning. If you have questions about entrepreneurship, maybe you're having problems at work or you're having some leadership problems or managing other people, boy, I have news for you. We have what we call a masterclass. Most of the courses in the masterclass deal with how you can generate revenue online. It deals with leadership, how to lead in crisis, how to break through the crisis in business, in entrepreneurship, and how you can manage other people better. Now, I always say the best kind of investment is an investment in yourself. And how much money are we charging for this masterclass? Not a lot. And if you invest in one, it's yours to keep. And if it doesn't, I'll refund you. No questions asked. Full refund. So why don't you try it out? Head on over to sean.c/masterclass and check out any one of the courses if it fits any one of the questions in your head. And if you have any questions, you can just put it on the comment section and we'll get in touch with you. We want to know who you are and we want to hear from you. Until then, keep leading. All right. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. It is another Thursday night and we are here with a special guest. And I'm super excited about asking him a lot of questions from you guys, the audience. And I also have some questions myself because I'm a curious guy and a leader is a learner and I am always learning from people. Now, before I start, I just want to share with you guys some new episodes we have on the podcast. And if you aren't following us yet, please do follow us, the Leadership Stack podcast on Spotify. And we have new episodes this week. 2 new episodes have been published. And that is with Mr. Dancho Dimkov, our relationship and mentors important in business. And we also have one with Miss JM Delaramo. Oh, sorry, that's 3 episodes this week. Ms. JM Delarama, creating safe space for employees with depression. We do know that depression, anxiety, these are things that we can't really overlook anymore. It happens. You know, the addition of coffee plus blue screens plus unlimited electricity keeps us up at night, gives us less sleep, makes us a little bit more anxious because we see all of these news online, and it's a combination that is not really that great, but that's what we're dealing with today. And we have people who are working in our teams. How do we give them a safe space to breathe, to let out what they're feeling and how they're dealing with work frustrations in your team? And lastly, we have episode 303 with Mr. Dancho Dimkov, should you standardize business processes? A lot of people are saying, Sean, ang hirap mag-hire ako ng hire, turo ako ng turo, parang hindi na umuunsad yung business ko. We're not moving forward because I keep losing people and then hiring new ones and then teaching them again and teaching them again. How do I finally cut this loop, this rat race? And the answer to that is good business processes. So if you want to learn how to create good business processes and how Dancho Dimkov did it for his business, please do tune in. Most of our episodes are less than 20 minutes long so that you have a lot more time to do the things that are important to you while giving you that nugget of wisdom to jumpstart your day and learn something new and put value in your life and your business. Okay, with that, I am not going to prolong it further. I just want to introduce to you that our guest tonight is Mr. Ven Sio, and he is the COO, and sabi nga niya, di ba? The COO at 16 of You probably know the brand. It's Sanicare. Their products are Sanicare. You can see it in almost all groceries, department stores, SNR. That's the brand we buy here at home, Sanicare. And you probably do buy Sanicare then yourself. And so I want to learn about there are not a lot of manufacturing businesses here in the Philippines, and especially not in the sanitary industry like them. So I'm sure you will learn a lot, and I will too. Without further ado, Mr. Ven Sio. Hey,
Hey,
Ben.
Sean. It's good
Thanks
to
for
see you
being
again,
here
bud.
on the show.
It's been too long.
Been too long, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Every year dati, no, sa Grand Wine.
Oh, yeah. We would, our wives and I and our friends would be normally seeing each other during the Grand Wine
Yeah,
experience, but there hasn't been any. So
hasn't been.
hopefully soon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
surely
around
on
this
the next
time.
one will be
Around this
there.
time, right? November.
Yeah,
Yeah.
around this time.
Yeah.
Parang palaging medyo nasa birthday ni Tito Ray yun eh. Somewhere
Yeah.
November 17.
Yeah, around this time, exactly. So, yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Okay, you
thanks for
ready
having
to?
me. Thanks for having me in the podcast. It's
It's our honor
amazing.
and pleasure, and we're more excited to have you. Actually, I've been the only talent here. It's too boring na raw. Eh.
I can take over a few episodes if you want.
Yun, perfect. Sub.
Joke lang. This is also this is very new for me as well, and uh, even in our company, like the opportunity to address people has been amazing. It's one of the best things that has happened in the pandemic now. But before that, who would have thought we'd be talking like this, and the access
Yeah,
to people, the knowledge is just amazing.
yeah. That's true. That's true. So we got a lot of questions today. And by the way,
Oh,
for those of you who are wondering, where can I ask the questions in this episode? I want to ask Ben some questions. I want to ask Sean some questions. You could ask those questions in our Facebook group. There you go. There's the link down there, leadme.ph/Facebook, or you can ask it in our Discord channel, which we also log into every day, actually. And you could PM me there, you could chat me if you have private questions that you want to ask. Easier, if you're watching right now, easier for you to just jump into the Facebook group and ask your questions there. But if you have time, try Discord. For us, we love Discord. That's the community we're trying to grow as well. And we'd love to engage with you there. So without further ado, first question would be diretso, no, about family business.
okay.
What skills did you find to be the most useful in managing a family business? Maybe not, maybe kung medyo a number of skills, give two or three. Okay lang.
Yeah. Wow. That's I didn't expect that question because that's a lot of reflection. And the thing about family business, they haven't been really writing any books about it, right? They tell you, how to be a good employee. And I remember actually there's this really great article like the 10 skills you need at your job that have nothing to do with your work. So I was thinking of just now, like what are the 10 skills that a entrepreneur should have that it has nothing to do with business, right? So I would always think the first thing I would probably say when it comes to family business in particular is your ability to manage your relationships. Um, so you have to know your parents, you have to know your siblings and your children in the future. So I had the benefit of having a good example in my parents. So one of the conclusions my sister and I had when it comes to succession planning, in fact, it's actually succession planning is actually good parenting. So one of the things I think that's essential if you're running a family business, it's different if you're just running like with business partners, is that relationship management is really key, and you need to really do a lot of give and take, listening, and also knowing the times that you're going to be able to say your ideas. So I had a good mentor in my father, and he made it easier. It's not easy, but it made it easier. So, but for me, I had to learn how to pick my spots, know my place. So never, leave the ego out the door. I think that's super important. That's going to destroy your business experience, your entrepreneurial experience, if you let that really affect it. So that's the first thing skill I would probably say if you're really managing a family business. The second skill, I wouldn't say is necessarily just in family business alone, but it's really having a clear plan, clear vision, and that is something that's harder for the second gen. I'm a second gen, so because the initial vision was from my parents, so I had to come up with my own view of the future and own that, be able to own that, because it's really gonna be, you're always gonna feel like I'm just following them, and right now I have the right titles already. I'm president and CEO. So I need to already have that plan in place. I really need to have a view of where we want to go. So those two things, probably in the relationship and the vision, is probably very important. Going back to the idea about second gen, I think when I met you, I introduced myself as a Gen 1.5 owner, not so
Yeah.
much as a second gen, because the true experience of me owning the business, so to speak, uh, was really about identifying myself as a founder as well, especially for me because I kind of started with a business almost immediately. So I joined in the fifth year of the business. So right after college, I jumped in. So
Wow.
I was still part of the growth journey. So I saw my parents work hard. I saw them by example, lead the company. And then when they turned over the reins to me as president, and just last year as CEO, I really had to have a good plan already. And it wasn't an excuse anymore that, oh, your parents are leading the way. Because they've turned it to, I became president relatively early on. I mean, like it's my 10th year already. So I've had to develop that vision. And then that's where your siblings will also follow you if they know you are heading them somewhere. It's not something you take for granted. So those are the things we I think is important.
Dang. So 10 years ka pa lang na CEO, no? So fresh out of college, so 30 ka pa lang.
That's the wrong. No, I was COO for a long time, diba? So we joke like a COO shadow owner. So no, I actually
Yeah.
started from the bottom. I started as a management trainee, but
Wow.
2 months or 3 months into the business, there was an opportunity for me to go to Davao and start the branches. So we only had one office before in Taguig. So we had one machine. We have one toilet paper machine. We would have just a couple of brands, Sanitary and tissue. And then my dad didn't really have a vision for going nationwide. So when there was an opportunity to open up Davao, I went there as branch manager. So that was like my startup experience. Then we made my way up the top and made my way up to took a few years then to for me to be president. So it was good because I was able to observe my father up close as well. So it was a good experience.
Wow. So I have a question. This is from me, no? Mamaya na kayo, guys. Sorry. Pero I'm very interested in knowing this because someday, I might just also deal with my kids. Maybe they wanna go in the family business as well, which is SEO hacker. You mentioned that the vision you had to have your own and own it, and I wonder how it happens when there are two visions from the first gen, the original founders, and the second gen, who the baton has been passed to. How does the vision morph, transform, collide, or is there an osmosis where you got parts of it from your parents, and from there you formulated your own? How did it happen, and what was the effect?
Yeah. So actually, what my parents have always been collaborative. That's the thing, and I didn't have to butt heads with them as much because I knew also I had to learn to pick my spots. Like when do you want to mention a project you want to do, and I think that the idea is that really just having a lot of communication. So and a lot of respect as well. Like one of the things we never do, and nobody has ever seen this, is us disagreeing in public. Nobody has ever seen that. So there's a lot of respect built up. So even if we are fighting or disagreeing, or um, behind closed doors, so that's always been. So there's a lot of conversation, and then I'm always surprised by the amount of. I have a lot of friends who are also entrepreneurs in second gen, third gen, and then the amount of conversation they have with their parents, I think, correlates to the amount of buy-in they have into the vision of the company. And so when the time comes that the founder is saying, "Okay, president, what do you want to do?" Right? So it's easier to say, "I want to do this," because it's generally a continuation of a few things that they're doing, and then you're also seeing changes happening. So it's really a lot of conversation. So as I mentioned also, like it's great, it's parenting. So you can't really lead your kids if you're not talking with them and
Yeah.
giving them the guidance. But that's also the thing about me, is I was never forced into the business. I wanted in. So
Wow.
that's probably the first thing, right? Because not everybody wants to join their parents' businesses. So, but
Yeah.
for me, it was very interesting. I gave up other job offers and important training opportunities for it, and I don't really regret it at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really that you can't force them, and it's we have a family constitution now that also says that if the kids don't want it, no, or the grandkids, or in that case, like, they don't have to. So it's hard to. It would be great if they did, right? And there's
Yeah.
other things you can do, right? So the reason became interested in my parents' business actually is the way I saw them, the way they were working together, because I've never seen them work together like that before. It's like, two of my favorite people working together, and you could see the passion, and and also the economics of the business at that time is super amazing for us. So it was really a good opportunity. So there's a lot of things that I think a parent can do to really give
Yeah.
generate interest in their kids.
So you probably saw your parents working happily together, no? Hindi sila masyado nag-disagree, may conflict.
No, they don't. They don't do that much. So same way, they if they do disagree, you wouldn't know. I personally have never seen my parents really fight. I knew they were nagtatampuhan, they were,
Yeah.
but you don't really see them like throwing or arguing. Never. It's really the level of respect they have for each other, which really set the tone for not just the business, right, but also my marriage. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So
Wow. That's a good example. That me,
yeah.
I should practice that. Thankfully, hindi ko pinag-away niya ako about business sa harap ng kids. But yeah, so
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know, Apple and I, my wife, we work together. Then she's the GM, and she handles our accounts and our finances. So galing. So
Yeah.
you how your parents showed that example to you, inspired you not just in your marriage, but inspired you to want to go into the family business.
Yeah.
That's very very good insight. It's very good
Sure.
insight.
Yeah.
You have a question here from the audience. Did work spill over into your personal life with your family? I guess with your parental family and you, or did you have strict boundaries between work and home life?
No, no, it's pretty much anytime, all the time. Especially when I was still living with my parents. So
Yeah.
it was like every meal is a board meeting. But
Yeah.
it's like we joke about it, but that's your personalized mentorship and training. So the way I think, if there's any second gens out there listening, you have to. I miss it sometimes, especially now. Um, but it's really something we take for granted, unfortunately, but it's there. And but there's we all my parents are also cool in saying, like, okay, tama na, like, enough business, right? So
Yeah.
but but yeah, no, it's pretty much anytime, all the time. So
Yeah.
and you will miss it. I guarantee you that. So especially now for me, I don't see them often. So yeah,
Yeah. I think I had a question something like this before, and um, I told the person that it's actually a blessing to be able to work with family if you work well with them, because before the industrial age, it's a lot of people were farmers, the money, and
yeah,
farming is a family kind of work where
yeah,
the father has a role, the mom has a role, the kids have roles, and the family works together, and that makes for a stronger family actually, unlike
yeah,
what we see today where kids go out, they have their own place, go on to whatever, they go abroad, and the family just it's not as strong as we'd like it to be. So being able to work as a family, even in more modern businesses, more modern than farming at least, will make for a stronger family. You just gotta have rules. Sometimes you
yeah.
gotta know when enough is enough. Kagaya nga ng sabi ni Ben. His parents are cool enough to know when they gotta stop. If it's dessert, we gotta stop, right?
Yeah. And the thing about working with families is that when if your business survives long enough to be a multi-generational business, you're gonna need that personal touch. You're gonna need a lot of that conversations, and it's gonna go beyond the business always. So because right now for us, for example, in our company, we now have family corporation, we have a family constitution. We're now looking at the third generation. These are still conversations that if we were not really used to talking to each other, we're gonna have a hard time uh, managing these issues because they may not be business issues anymore. It might not be a production issue, collections, or whatever. But these are more important. That you're doing legacy work, you're doing managing the family office. These are other conversations you're gonna have, and if you don't lay the groundwork for that, it's really gonna be hard. So I really believe like parenting is a huge part of it, but you have to follow your family's parenting style. Kumbaga, you can't. Of course, you have as you became a parent yourself, you're gonna also encounter. Right, I'm sure you've been seeing that like this is the way I was raised up. Now you can
Yeah,
consciously say like I want to follow that, or no, I'm gonna go a
yeah,
different path. So, but
yeah,
just staying true to that, but know that has consequences as well. So
yeah, for sure, for sure. Kidding. By the way, Nino, just want to do some shout outs. Nino, thanks for being here. Where can you get the shirt? We actually have it in the leadership staff shop. So you probably saw I'm wearing it. Yeah, I wear it almost every time. So this one says, I'm an entrepreneur, value over profit. There you
nice.
go. So I'm just going to show that real quick. We got the Chrome tab. I'm just gonna show the window. There you go. Sorry, non-con tabs, guys. And this is the leadership staff website. I don't know who this guy is. Shop. There you go. There's the shop, and you can get the shirts here. These are all the best quality shirts. I mean, with the materials that I asked the producer to use, I asked him to use the best one. And in terms of the printing, we also use the best one. I'm not a printer, so I'm not the expert, but something silk screen, what I forgot, but it's the best quality one. So it's actually pretty expensive to produce, but we didn't want to make it too pricey also. So it's 600 pesos, small, medium, XL, and we're giving it away actually. So every week we're targeting every week, except for the holidays, of course, because we're gonna go on holidays. But we're targeting every week to give one shirt away. So this week, actually today, we're gonna give the link here, the raffle link. We're gonna send it here. So tune into that. Oh, there you go. That's the raffle link. You can join now, right now, and we're gonna close the draws next Thursday. So the next Friday we're gonna award it. We're gonna award the winners next Friday. The winner, sorry, just one winner per week. We're gonna award it next Friday. There you go. Thanks for that, Nino. I was gonna share that a little later, but you asked the question, so I went ahead and said that. Miss Alonita, thanks for being here. Kudos. Ayan, for this broad chance. Chauncey and Ven Sio. Talagang kompleto yung pangalan namin. Thank you. And thanks for tuning in from LinkedIn. Love it. Ron, thanks again for being here tonight. And you have a question. Question for a guest. That's you, Ven. How do you deal if you do deal with self-entitled family members who thinks they can handle the business better than you and would claim that they should have bigger stake in, I guess, bigger share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate that I haven't had to deal with this, but I have plenty of friends who do. And entitlement is one of them, probably one of the most dangerous attitudes in a family business. And that's when you know that they're not really an entrepreneur yet. Because when you're a business person, if you know just how heavy it really is to be an entrepreneur, and congrats to everybody wanting to become one, but it's a very heavy burden. um, we often, you know, we often see things as if it's in a very beautiful light, like there's a car, there's money, there's salary, but nobody knows what you're doing in the dark, truly, so the amount of hard work you do early in the morning, late at night. So um, entitlement is going to destroy any business and any partnership, actually, and doesn't have to be a family business at all. So this is one of those things that we need self-awareness on. So there are exercises you can take in terms of like increasing. There's a Johari window, right? It's like the self-awareness you need to have, like, and then there also may be things that truly the family doesn't see in you that you want them to know. So that is a good exercise. That's a practical psychological exercise, Johari window. Look it up, and I would suggest that you find a good coach to run you through that, so that there's truly some grounded reality into your claims. Because you might be right. The person who is asking for more might be right, and it's just that maybe you don't know what you're asking for. I hope you know what you're really asking for, because like in our business, like if you're asking for more work, there's a lot of work. So go be entitled to that. But that's really not understanding the full burden. And sometimes it's us who's not really telling the full story. Like, if you have a brother or sister or a sibling or a child who wants more, and they think they can do it, maybe they can, but maybe they also don't know the real cost of that until you've really shown that the what it feels like, what it really how difficult it is. So yeah, so there the Johari window is like, these are self-awareness, so that, I think that's a practical tool you can consider. Because again, have conversations, because you're gonna need it. The relationship management is gonna need it. And but if they're just maybe asking for more money or anything, maybe it's just simpler to just give it to them. But sometimes giving power, authority might be more difficult to give away.
Yeah,
um,
for sure. Oh
yeah,
man, but yeah, that's tricky, no? That's tricky. I guess one of the trickiest things when you're working with family, because it's so hard to say no to them or to damage the relationship.
yeah,
And I back this up, the Johari window. This is very good stuff. There's a lot of exercises also that are online on how you could uncover these things. And we all have blind spots, all of us.
yeah,
And then knowing your own blind spots, and um, allowing the people you work directly with, especially if they're family members, to also know theirs,
yeah,
that's gonna do a lot of good. A lot
yeah,
of good.
yeah. And yeah, if you have that conversation, right, and they know the full cost of them, like, maybe they're just asking for more money, but if they're really asking for more responsibility, if they really knew how heavy that would be, would they really say, give it to me? No, no, say yun na lang, so uh, it's an interesting conversation, but that's a good tool.
Yeah, yeah. So with that, may tanong din ako, coming from there with what you mentioned. More responsibility, more money. Okay. But what if they're just saying na, I've been here 10 years already eh. Don't I deserve more? Di ba?
Mm.
Paano masasagutin yun?
Well, if the company can afford it, maybe there's merit to that. So um, my personal experience is I got hired minimum wage. So here I was, an Athenian, supposedly going to a very good job offer. I'm getting paid minimum wage. I believe at that time the minimum wage was 6,000, 6,500, something like that. So I got that. And then, of course, when we hired my sister, who joined us about 8, 9 years after me, of course, I was the one who said we cannot pay her minimum wage. We should pay her already more. So I was the one who lobbied for making sure that she was being paid, if not more than her current rate. Um, so she had time learning from outside. So if we can afford it, we should definitely give it. We There should be some attention being paid to market rates. So because I went through that, I wasn't being paid market rates, but rightfully so because the business couldn't afford it at that time. So I'm very sensitive to this. So if you're gonna have a family member work in the business, pay them market rates, but they should also be performing market level performances. Kumbaga, if you were supposed to hire a chief marketing officer at this so and so rate, you can give it to your sibling or your cousin or whoever is joining in the business, but they should be also working at the same level as that CMO that you would have hired. So there is such a thing as what we call in the company right person, right seats. So you need to have the right seats set up, the job that's needed, but also the right person for it. So um, and if they're not, in the case of families, you have to be quite clear they are the right person even though they're family. So we that's why we don't really need to force our our family to join us. Be careful, sometimes that's going to just create a lot of unneeded and maybe the idea was that, oh, I'm going to save money if I'm going to hire my family. You're not and you shouldn't. You should pay them well. So I have my cousin in the business, so we're paying her what we think is market rates for her role. So um,
Oh,
it's not something that should be deprived. Otherwise, you're just gonna cause drama. So
yeah,
um, so
sure,
there.
for sure. Market rate, pero dapat market level din yung performance.
Oh yeah.
Very good.
Oh yeah,
That's very good.
for sure.
We have a question here from the audience. What kind of leadership style have you adopted that you found to be most useful for your company, for your team?
Um, that's a great question because I did not adopt it. It was always been who I was. So that's the thing. I found the best parts of myself and offered that. I think Sean and I are familiar with strengths
Yeah.
development. So I lead with futuristic. So I also lead with ideation, strategic, competition, relator. So that unique combination of strengths is who I am. I didn't. I had to use that best of me for the company. So if a different leader, if like I had a different set of strengths, I would be a different kind of leader, kind of leadership style. So I had to look at and own who I was and be able to use that. So like for me, I'm futuristic. So I love thinking about the future. I love planning. I love telling others about what I see and giving them a lot of excitement of what we're gonna do. And let's look at the technologies, all the cool things, all the gadgets. Let's get into the cloud and the automation and all that, everything. And because that's who I am. And I don't. If I tried to be like, let's say, I wanted to be just like my dad or just like my mom, I would do a very poor job of that because I don't have those strengths. I had to be the best version of me, and that's the probably the kind of thing that, so I didn't really adopt it. It's who I am, and that's what SCPA, our company, got. So if they got a different president, they would get that person's best as well. I'm not gonna force that guy to be like me. In the same way, I will never force my kids or my nephews and nieces to be somebody who they're not. So but offer the best of yourself and understand yourself. So that's one of the hardest things, right? And really, in our company, actually, we have everybody take that Strengths Finder test, so that everybody knows what they're good at, and how they could offer that to everybody, and even though they're not yet in a leadership position. So, and to many millennials, they love this because they can't seem to articulate what's good about them. They always know what's wrong about them. They always know, oh, millennials, we're entitled, we're like selfish, we're like, and they know full well like the bad things about them. So when we give them this Strengths Finder, explain it to them, give them coaching, and you can just see their faces light up and say, oh, may kwenta pala ako. This is what makes me cool. This is what makes me awesome, and I want to be more of that. And stop trying to be something I'm not. And how do I make, give all those strengths into the job that I was given, into the job I've chosen. So in the same way, I do that for myself. And there are times, the imposter syndrome strikes. Like, I wish I was like my dad. He was like this, he was like that. I wish I was like my mom. She was like this, she was like that. But in the end, I have to be satisfied with the strengths I have, and they're pretty awesome as well. And what's funny is that when you talk to the others, and they're gonna say like, "Oh, I envy you have that. I envy you." And and then we just say in the company, then let's work together, right? So that's I think the best thing, because you have things I really need. So my sister and I, she has Activate, or I just love working with her because anything that I want to happen, she just gets it
Yeah.
done. It's perfect for a futuristic.
Perfect.
Yeah. So you have to adopt it. I would say that in our company, we adopt the strengths that you have, and then we offer that up as your best.
Yeah, for those of you tuning in and you're not familiar with Strengths Finder, just look it up online. Gallup Strengths Finder 2.0. Very powerful stuff. At SEO Hacker, we also use that. So all of our regular team members, we unlock their top 5 strengths, and we use that to see who they are, profile them, and see if they're at the right seat at the bus in our company, and how we can utilize their strengths as well. So very good stuff, and we all have strengths. These are things that we love doing, we look forward to doing, and we are really good at. And if we focus on using our strengths in our life, not just at work but in our family, how we lead our kids, our how we deal with our parents, our siblings, I think that overall we will have a better quality of life and
Yeah,
better temperament as well.
yeah, that's so
All
true.
right, are there challenges specific to working in the hygiene segment of our market? Wow.
Wow. It's not the answer you would think. I mean, the problem with our product, the hygiene market, particularly in our particular product line, is it's so bulky. So shipping in the Philippines is so expensive. Sean, for me to send a container of products to Davao is the same cost of Manila to LA. So for you to ship
Wow.
like your rolls, so it's very expensive because it's very bulky. It's full of air, right? Toilet paper.
Yeah.
So sending it to there, it's so expensive. So actually, the real difficulty in our business is logistics, and I would say that's a difficulty for many businesses now, especially now with last mile and all that. So that was the interesting insight we had in running our business. So we were joking, and probably it's really true. Like, we're not in the toilet paper business; we're in the logistics business. So because sending it to SM, sending it to Robinsons, and making sure that we have this fill rate, this service level rate that we have to be really high. You want, if they ask for 10,000 rolls, you better deliver 10,000 rolls, and there's
Yeah.
like a metric for that. So I'm proud to say that my team has been really kicking butt there. So they've been winning the awards in these retailers.
Wow.
But it's like a monumental effort. We people don't, and we also now have 7 factories nationwide. So
Wow. Galing.
what used to be sales offices only, we had to build localized factories. So we if it's in Cebu, it's made in Cebu. If you're in Dagupan, it's made in Dagupan and North Luzon. So we're now local in 24 offices and 7 factories nationwide. So because of the logistics problem in the hygiene market. So
Yeah.
yeah, so the other probably challenge in the hygiene market is really the Filipinos. Filipinos love the tabo. They don't like toilet paper as much. So there's actually less than half of all of you are using toilet paper. Most of you are using tabo. So that's our true competitor. So we do have competitors in our segment, but the greater competitor is Orocan, and their tabo. So maybe I should invest some money in Orocan or something. But because it's a luxury product in the Philippines. But we do
Yeah.
have new products. We've diversified with trash bags, cottons, and wet wipes. Wet wipes has done very well in the Philippines because a lot of women particularly are just so they have a thing for cleanliness. So
Yeah.
we like to be mabango, we like to be clean. So wet wipes has been a great growth driver for us. But it's all the same problem, logistics. So getting it to the customers, so it's the challenge.
Yeah. Galing. Galing. Wow. Orokan pala, no? Who would have known? I mean, we're an island country. We got so much water going around. I guess
Yeah,
that's probably why. Plus, of course, the economic challenges. But yeah,
yeah.
amazing. Really good stuff. Okay, another question from the audience. I saw that you got licenses and certifications issued this year. Probably this person
Mm,
stalking you on LinkedIn. Why do you find it necessary to take classes and seminars, even as a president and CEO of your own company?
Well, it's kind of related to the Johari window earlier, and I said that you sometimes don't know what you don't know. It's probably the one that will really hit you up, right? It's the one that's gonna mess you up. So there, I have just this, curiosity that I want to know what's out there. I always want to see the full battlefield, so to speak, and what it's gonna look like. And sometimes it's a very specific set of information that I want to be able to do. I don't really do it, for padding my resume. So, but it's more for really meeting with people, being able to pick their brain. So I really support what Sean's doing here. You guys are so blessed to have this because all of us can stand to just learn from everyone and be able to know. So and some of the things I do are not necessarily related to business also. Like there was a rabbit hole I got into a few years ago. It's actually where I met Sean is wine. So I took up a level 3 award, a wine educator. Um,
Wow,
Completely didn't need it to do it. It just I
okay.
just curious and but actually I learned a lot from wine appreciation and all that. But there's a lot of things that I learned and actually applies to business. Um, so like did you know, Sean, that for us to make really good wine, for wineries to make good wine, you're not supposed to deleg the grapes. You're not
Really?
supposed to irrigate. um, the best wines actually have in fact, like if you talk about old world like France, they're not
Yeah.
even allowed to, because what you want is to make sure that the grapes concentrate the flavor in as few grapes as possible. So if you water it, it will also water down the flavor. So it was like a
Wow.
lesson for me, like the difficulties we need to encounter. You have to expose grapes to, less water, heat, cold, all of that to concentrate the flavor. So you're not supposed to spoil the grapes. You're supposed to, So those are some of the lessons I've learned, and a few things that are pretty cool. Actually, there's a lot. In just in a seemingly random life skill,
Yeah.
but you never know sometimes what you learn and appreciate. And so the best grapes come from the most difficult uh, areas in the world, the most extreme heat, extreme cold, no water, and that's why they are so flavorful. So that's
Wow.
something like that. So you learn a few things like that's not really related to business but life. the more technical ones I learned recently is actually I took up a course in blockchain because it just seemed to be like the next wave. And so I was so that was a few months ago, and I actually got in our company we have study groups. So I created a blockchain study group. So we bought Axie, we bought. We were thinking about implementing NFTs.
Yeah.
We were investing in yields and yield farming, and so we were doing a lot of these things. We were applying it more out of curiosity. Like we don't know. I mean, is the company even going to get into blockchain? I don't know. So we
Yeah.
might, but it's just good to know and to participate in it and be able to understand what's coming down the pipeline.
Mm.
So it
Yeah.
was fortunate we were able to do that because at that time everybody everything's the prices were very low. So
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
so there.
Next week, I think, then we're gonna have here a guest, and very exciting because this guy, he's a Filipino, but he's based in Hong Kong, and they're building the next Axie.
Ooh,
Well, it's not like Axie na parang Pokemon style game.
right.
It's a space game,
Okay.
and it's also play to earn. I'm not gonna give too much info, but there's a lot of value
Nice.
next week. Um, but yeah,
That
Axie grew like 106,000 106,000%.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like 10,600 x multiplier. So like
Yeah.
if you invested 1 million, it's 1 billion already, something like that, or I think a bit more. 10,000x is crazy. Um,
Yeah.
so this one is very exciting. They're gonna be launching their token this December, and looks like they're gonna be launching an early version of the game next year.
Ooh, okay.
We're gonna have the co-founder here as a guest next week, and
Amazing.
we're gonna ask him
Oh yeah,
questions.
you guys need to watch out for that. I'm definitely gonna watch out for it because this is a new model, right? Play to earn is like we haven't seen that model. Like we know
Yeah,
other models like for gamers, right? You would know that
yeah,
but this is like a different, and it's amazing that it's here that you're gonna have them around. Yeah.
yeah. And personally, I invested there a little bit, and we're
Which
looking
one,
at
Axie or
actually.
the
No,
newer
no.
one?
Well, actually, I invested through scholarship, but not.
Yeah.
It's not me. I'm not managing it. I invested through a friend. We
Yeah.
all know who he is.
Ah, okay.
um,
That
but
guy.
also, yayaan eh, alam mo yun, yayaan eh. But the guest we're gonna have next week, I invested there as well a little bit, and I heard
Okay.
that there was a game just just this week that launched na parang passive game. May mga passive game eh, yung parang mag-AFK ka lang away from
Mm-mm.
keyboard and
Yeah.
maglalaro na siya. Tapos play to earn. So medyo crazy. When they launched the idea, 175x.
Oh wow.
Crazy. Like if you invested 1 million, it's like 175 million.
Yeah.
Idea. It's an idea. It's not even out yet. The game's not yet out. So that's how crazy the crypto market is. And
Yes.
yeah, look into that, bro. Kasi
Yeah,
ako
for
personally,
sure.
I invested. You might want to also
Yeah.
check it.
This is a rabbit hole we're gonna end up talking. We have to look in Mr. MG here para
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
weigh in because there's so much to learn in that space. Like it's every day there's something new.
yeah.
So yeah, that has been consuming my personal life as well. So
Well,
um,
it's a good area to invest your life in right now. There's just
right now,
60,000 wallets today. Imagine like millions of
yes.
people, 60,000 lang yung wallets.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And that's why I think that's kind of answers why I'm doing a lot of these curious things, like because you don't know what you're missing, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't want
Yeah,
to miss it. And you have these friends. I have friends of mine who bought Bitcoin at like it's $100 now or something. Like now you
yeah,
have to buy it for 60,000 or something.
yeah. Almost 60K now. Yeah. Crazy.
So I don't want to make that mistake again of missing these things. So we always being curious is always a good thing.
Yeah, true that. 100% agree.
Yeah.
Okay, we have our next question from Chucks. How do you find the time, energy, and space to keep working and improving your business? And
That is the hardest thing because time is the most precious element and precious valuable resource out there. Because but this is something we need to build into to ourselves. You can't not do it, because there's just a thing of like working on your business and working in your business. So working in your business is like, what you do, what the things that are bothering you right now, that's your in your business. But working on your business is another important thing you need to do, and you have to institutionalize that. So I do have my own I just finished my think week. So I do take a few days to just think about the business, what we need to do. This is normally around the time that, for planning for next year. So you're really looking at the things you want to do for your business that's not related to what's, the current concerns, the current crises. Like, and even so in our family, we learned 7 habits very early on, and a large part of that is actually knowing what's important and what's urgent. And normally you should really work on what's important even more. And what's important is like the viability of the business, the big view, the long-term view, the investments you're making. So depends on where you're at in the business. Like right now, maybe you feel like there's like wave after wave of problems happening. Just do a little bit of the important stuff first, then you'll be able to get to you'll have actually less crisis down the road. So if you're in that moment right now, this too shall pass, kaya mo yan. But you need to really figure out what's important and try to solve that. And then you go back to what's urgent. But and for us, it's what's really important is working on your business. So like for us to realize like our business isn't like we're kind of like a logistics company pala. So we had to take a look at our warehouses, our relationship with our truckers, our own fleet, the kind of people we would have, the kind of software. Like we recently digitalized our warehouse management software. So these are not easy tasks that you had to really push together. It's like the WMS one is like a 2-year thing. It's not easy, but it's, if you're saying that, okay, if logistics is one of the most important things we can do as a business, then we need to put our best investments, our money, our effort, our energy towards that. And then it might be difficult in the short term, but you know that you're moving in the right direction and it will pay off in the long run. I think having that courage is really, and that perspective is needed. So personally, I do think weeks. We also follow like the Sabbath every week. You really have to take time for yourself to really step back and have perspective. So but yeah, it's probably the most important priority you're gonna have, even though it feels like you want to attend to that crisis right now.
What does I'm curious about that think week, Ben, because
Yeah.
like there are days that I would schedule vacations for me and my family. We go out camping, but I wouldn't say that it's like a planned think week for me. Like it's a family vacation, and if I'm able to think about business, sure, but if not, then it's okay, or nothing really changes.
Mhm.
So, but you mentioned think week, which sounds to me like you're really taking that time off to have a planned
Yeah.
um, session with
Yeah.
yourself or with a couple of people who are important for running the business, and you're just thinking about what is possible. So, what does that entail? What does it look like?
Actually, the Think Week, I've been doing it for about 6 years now. Wish I did it earlier. And it's just me. I don't even bring in anyone. It's just me and my notebook and my note and my some of my laptop. And so I have a few things I want to make sure that I got done. Like what conversations, what relationships need improvement, in the business and outside on the business as well. So relationships, and then strategy. So some of the things that I'm reviewing, like, am I headed the right direction, or am I leading the company in the and being very honest about it, like what's not working, what's working. And then the last one is really my own developmental plan. So I think about like what do I need to know, like maybe come up with my book list for next year. So I read a lot. I try to read. This year I'm only going for 36 books, but next year I want to go
Wow.
back to one book a week. So I'm very excited with like a book list. So, and and then the rest of the time is really meditating and being able to just. So it's a fairly loose time that I have with myself, but I'm taking time. So I just came home from that today. So I was there since Sunday until now. So I was with my family naman. So but I do set as I go off, and my wife knows this. I'm not to be disturbed until I come back to the main area. So it's really just time for yourself, and it's very good because you kind of have perspective. Be able to see what you're doing, what you can do better, how could I be a better person. And I'm really a believer that the abilities of the entrepreneurs, your own is only the business is only is going to be as good as the heights that the entrepreneur can reach. So I need to really be aware of the things I can do better, and have also time to in some level, like, enjoy the journey, because you kind of need to also pat yourself on the back, because I'm a very self-critical person, very hard on myself. So these are the things that I did good this year. Great. Of course, you always go back to the list of what are the things I'm doing wrong. But sometimes you have to also take that seriously and say, yeah, it was a tough year, past 2 years, but yeah, we're here. We're doing okay. We're ready for next year. Um, so I think that's important. That clearing up all the garbage, like that emptying a recycling bin, or in your case, maybe clicking off all those tabs
Yeah.
and giving your RAM a rest, and
Yeah.
then it's like that for my brain. So like it's like that, and then resetting the computer, and then okay, I'm ready for more. So I do that twice a year if I can.
Twice a year.
Um, yeah. So and we have a version for that for our marriage as well.
Wow, it's amazing. Yes, so I do have some questions that stems from that, but before that, there's a shout out here to Mark John. You really don't know what you don't know. Quoting Ven there. Thank you, Sir Sean and Sir Ben, for sharing these knowledge. And we really love that you're here. Please do help us by sharing. If we provided value for you here now, please do help us out by sharing this episode with family, friends who you think can learn from this. We really appreciate and love it whenever this value goes out to more people. So, with the Think Week, maybe these are the questions that some people who are tuned in are also asking right now, who are entrepreneurs. How can I take those weeks off and not expect my business to burn or to smokes happening, right? So
Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur. I'm 10 years in the business. I feel like if I take 4 days, 5 days off, the chances of smoke happening is not so small. Not so It's a
Yeah.
lot smaller than when I was starting out, but still
Yeah.
not so small. So how do you take off and think deeply, not trying to worry about may mangyari sa business,
Yeah.
while I'm gone, my team and so on.
Yeah. Yeah, so I would probably, if I was in that same situation, and I didn't do a think week initially, I only did a half. The first time I did it, I only did it a half day in my office. I just said nobody. I'm not taking any meetings, no calls, and everything like that. So it started from there, and I would love to actually take a full week. I haven't gotten the full think week yet, so I understand the feeling coming from all the entrepreneurs. So I started with half a day, and then business is still here. It's not burning down. So okay, maybe next year I do a day and then overnight, and so yeah, and then it's really just trusting your team. And of course, my team has also evolved so much in the past 5 years that it's really allowed me to be focused more on the business than in the business. So a lot of the development in our business has been actually in the human side. So we've been investing a lot in trainings, investing a lot in leadership tracks. So we're building the capability for the business to run itself, and that's where I wanted to go anyway. We wanted to professionalize the family business. We turned 25 this year, no, so there's a certain element of, hey, we shouldn't be worried about that anymore. We should now be our people should be good enough to like manage the things. So we're in that level already. But I completely understand like the initial feeling. So go ahead and start with like 2 hours one day, or several half days, like just taking a look at it, and just turning off the lights in your office and saying that nobody disturbs me. And then from there, the trust, you'll be surprised. Your trust in your team will also grow. And for me, like I take so much value out of it that like that half day was like the best thing I've done in the past 6 months of that year. Because when I did that, okay, I had a bit of a plan of what I wanted to do and work on myself, and what books should I be reading, what knowledge is lacking. So out of that, we were able to do a lot of the HR stuff we wanted to do, data science, AI, algorithms, even the blockchain thing. So these are the things that come out of that idea. So next year, like there's some pretty big topics that's coming up, like ESG, very difficult topics that was on my list from this week. And I also actually get the help of my team. Like they help me with smoking out issues. So these are the things I carry with me into the think week, the things that I need to work on, we need to work on. So they were like part of the process. They didn't know it, but they were part of the process of smoking out the issues.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I should, there's something. I love how you said that you started with just 6 hours. Makes it so doable for a lot of us here. Come on, 6 hours. Yeah, let's start there, and then abot din tayong 1 week, guys. Abot din tayo yan.
I haven't reached that either. So, but yeah, it's just can almost guarantee it. TM guarantee that it's gonna be you're not gonna regret it. You're gonna say it's because you're working on the business. You were still working, but it's not. You're not not putting out fires. So
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. We got a question from Pam. What is your biggest challenge during this time of pandemic? And we're down to our last few questions. I know
Sure.
it's already 9, and down to our last few questions. I just want to make sure that we are able to brush through with everyone. So, what's the biggest challenge during the pandemic for you?
Um, I have two answers. One is like the business challenge, and then the one is more of a working challenge. So the business challenge was really logistics, and because on top of the pandemic, probably because of the pandemic, logistics became very difficult for everybody. It wasn't just us. Everybody's feeling it. That's why some of your favorite stuff in the supermarkets are out of stock. Some of the stuff you've been ordering from abroad, Lazada or whatever, your 1111 haul, they haven't arrived. It's a logistics problem. Everybody's experiencing it. It's causing costs to go up, and that's by far the biggest business problem. And it's caused by the pandemic, because factory shutting down, all that causing a lot of inefficiencies. So by far, this is the biggest one. But but that's something it's almost something like is it even a challenge, because I can't do anything about it. It's not like I can go to the ship and like I get it myself, right? I can't even do it even if I could. So it's almost like it's not even a problem because you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But the other problem I would probably say is that the stark reality of um, the needs of we've been so shaken by the pandemic. The overall needs, understanding the needs of your employees has been uh, more difficult to manage. Like nobody really was talking masyado about emotional health, mental health, until I myself went through the same concerns as in my own way. Like um, managing this as a parent, managing this whole situation as a president of the company, as an employee myself, and all that, all the levels as a businessman, the amount of stress, because we were so productive. We've been so, and I can say that for my team, they've been kicking butt. They've been so productive. The trust I've given them, they've more than earned it during this time. I've never seen them, but things are happening and it's just flowing. I've never had an issue with them, but that overwork, all that imbalance was probably the biggest thing that we've had to encounter. and had to we don't know like the amount of pressure, should I take the vaccine, and what's the worries and the fears and the things that you can't articulate because there's no one to talk to. um, I think
Yeah.
that by far is probably the biggest working challenge. uh, Not only my people but myself and the owners, other businessmen, my fellow businessmen as well. And that's probably one of those things that's been difficult to navigate. But more so, I think, even for our employees, it's really been a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I also in my field of in my network, a lot of business people. Some lost weight due to the anxiety and stress. Some gained weight because of the stress. I
I'm on
think
that
I'm
side.
I'm more of the latter. Gained weight. No. Tapos laging nasa bahay lang nakaupo. So yeah,
Yes.
it's hard for me to lose weight. I stress eat kasi. No? So,
Yes.
there's a shout out from Ron. Pwede pa bilhin ng tissue. Ayan, magko-convert na si Ron from Orocan Tabo.
To be
to,
known, of course. Our website, scpa.com.ph. Somebody will contact you for sure, if you're serious about your request. So
there you go. All right. So before I let you guys go, I just want to. By the way, that's the last question. We had fantastic questions, and I love the answers, especially since I'm a dad, and my 7-year-old panganay Leo already said, Papa, when I grow up, I want to be a businessman like you and work in SEO hacker. Okay.
nice.
So, paano natin yan gagawin? Kasi yung 5-year-old brother niya, baka gusto rin mag-work sa SEO hacker. I'm also, my top three is futuristic as well. So, we're
Okay.
the same there. And I'm also thinking about these things already. And I learned a lot right now from you, and I love it.
Hey,
And before I let you guys go, we do have the Leadership Stack t shirt giveaway. There we go. It's 6 days remaining. Um, and you can enter the giveaway with just your email address. And after you enter here, you're going to get raffle entries already. And then there would be more ways to earn raffle entries, like subscribing to our YouTube channel, watching a specific video, and so on. To make it easy for you, the link is down there, leadme.ph/giveaway. Now, this is, we're going to be either sending the t shirt to you when you're the chosen winner, or you can pick it up and I can meet you here in BF Parañaque if you want. Let's take a photo, no problem. So I hope that you guys join the giveaway and you do share it with friends and family. And we are doing this because we want more people to actually know about the podcast, about the YouTube channel as well. And we are hoping that through this giveaway, you could represent it by wearing it as a T-shirt, right? Wear it in your company outings or in family get-togethers, and represent the podcast and share it with them. And so we're going to do this hopefully every week. We're planning to do this every week. I got tons of T-shirts in our warehouse to give away, and if you do want to just get it or buy it outright, we do have it in the Leadership Stack website in the shop. So you could go there by typing leadershipstack.com/shop. Leadershipstack.com/shop. And you could just add it to cart, check out this e-commerce works. It works, and we will be able to receive your order and ship it out to you. And that helps supports the show, right? So we haven't made anything from the podcast, but we do still want to do it because it is a work of love, and hopefully our country gets more leaders, or we're able to build up more leaders here who are willing to serve others selflessly. That's the vision.
yeah. That's
Ben, thank
amazing,
you so
Sean.
much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being here. And before we leave and we let our audience go, maybe one, we both mentioned about dealing with the stress, the anxiety. Maybe what would be your encouragement to those listening in here, and when they're in the same boat? business
Yeah.
stuff, or di sila naka-recover, or maybe nagsara yung business nila, what would be an encouragement that you want to tell them?
Yeah, it's a great question. For us in our business, this is not the first crisis. We've been looking at our history and Asian crisis. We had one time in my first year as president, the company burnt down. So, and we looked through it all, and it's always been our faith in God that has helped us. And there was an important question that we asked ourselves early on in the pandemic, and the question was, how can this pandemic be the best thing that has happened to us? Because when we look back in that fire, that when in my first year as a president, when we look at that fire, and all the great things that have happened since then, we were able to transfer to the cloud, we were able to add more technologies, we've been able to, it woke all of us, the owners were all woken up, we were able to really just innovate and create such beautiful changes in the business, professionalize it, got, bulked up our HR team, created data science team, product development team. So we were able to create so many changes because of that fire. So ask yourself, whatever difficulty you're handling, going through, how can this be the best thing that has ever happened to me? And of course, I want to encourage everyone to really, the faith in God, because the track record he has in our business has been amazing. But there's also work to be done that you yourself has been put in this world to do. And that could be figuring out, how can this be the best thing that has happened to me? This bad thing, how can it be the best thing? And I think you'll be surprised that these are the stories that you're going to remember. You're going to tell your kids about, about the fire, about the Asian crisis, about the pandemic. And then you'll have some story that you can share to them. It's also going to encourage them that good things can happen out of bad things.
Galing. Parang nga yung analogy na shinare mo kanina, no? It's actually in conditions that are quite extreme and difficult for the grapes that produces the
Oh yeah,
most flavorful ones worthy of becoming the best wines.
of
So,
course. Yeah. Yeah,
galing, galing, galing.
none of those wines who won awards and are recognized grew in favorable circumstances. They were all in difficult, strenuous, difficult situations. So they had to struggle to get that most flavor out of the grapes, because it was hard. And if it was easy, they would have no character at all.
Yeah, galing. And we're at that kind of situation. And hopefully, we're almost seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully. Kasi the die down na yung new cases. If it plateaus next year, then maybe we'll see the market open finally. So, God willing, we'll pray for
Yeah.
that. Just want to thank you guys for tuning in. You guys are still here, a lot of you, and we appreciate you. We love you, and we do this for you. And we do this every Thursday night, 8 p.m. And again, we are looking forward to next week, where we are interviewing the co-founder of one of the games who are looking to be the next Axie Infinity
Next big
2.0,
thing.
something like that. It's a pretty big deal.
Exciting.
It's a pretty big deal.
Exciting, man.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And I'll definitely ping you about it when we're going to have the episode.
Yeah.
So
Sean, thanks for
I
having me. Yeah.
yeah, well,
You're,
it's my pleasure, and we're honored to have you here. I think Marvin might jump in next week as well during that
oh,
AMA. Yeah, so
amazing.
we'll market it out, definitely. We'll
Yeah.
announce it. Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Take care, and God bless.